Welcome to the Real Estate Baller Show. If you ever like any of the video we posted, if you like this channel, can you do me a favor and hit that subscribe button? It helps us more than you know. And the bigger this channel gets, the more people we can help achieve financial freedom. Thank you and enjoy the episode.
That was my goal and aim when I was in the residential business, is to build this massive empire and this big portfolio of real estate. And when I got into storage, I ultimately ended up learning in my journey that bigger isn't always better, right? Better is better. And so if you were to compare my mindset and approach in storage versus when I was in single family, I am no longer looking to build this massive empire of storage units. I look for 2 to 3 really good, solid deals. And I think one of the great things about commercial real estate and storage, which happens to be my favorite asset within commercial, is that it doesn't take that many good deals for it to have a very significant impact on your life and your financial situation. So yeah, that word empire, early on in my journey, I was all about bigger is better and scale and empire. And the older I've gotten and the more clear I've become on my vision and my direction, the path I think God wants me to go in. It's not that I don't want to go big. I think big. I've realized that it's not all about quantity, but when it comes to assets, it's about quality.
It's so funny that you said that. We're going to off track here for a minute and talk about that mindset and that realizations of growth, right? Because I think we all started being the entrepreneur, the visionary, because most business owner, that's what we are, right? We jump in and we have this vision of massive, big and huge and do 1,000 deals and, all kinds of stuff. And then as we get into it, we realize, oh my God, I don't want that.
That's exactly right. Well, that's what happened with me. I remember in end of 2017, I joined a high-level mastermind community that was made up of some of the top real estate investors in the country. And I remember going into that mastermind and seeing that people had hired a bunch of people and they were scaling the business and they were growing. And I remember, looking at people and saying, well, if they can do it, I can certainly do it. So for the next 2 years, I set out. I got an office and I started hiring a bunch of people and my overhead increased significantly. And I remember 2 years into the journey, I was like, this is not what I want. This is not this doesn't align with the vision of why I got into real estate. I got into real estate because I ultimately, it's not about the money. It's what the money can do for you. So really what it boils down to when I have conversations with entrepreneurs and real estate investors, and tell me if you've heard different, but I think freedom is the word that comes up a lot. Freedom to do the things that are important to us. And wholesaling, the transactional business of wholesaling just wasn't doing it for me. It was a great business to generate a bunch of cash. The mistake that I made early on in my journey is that I wasn't taking that active earned income and I wasn't putting it into cash flow producing assets. And so that's one mistake I made early on. Sometimes people ask me, hey, what's your biggest regret? I would have continued to wholesale, but I would have kept the right properties.
So wholesaling, you touch on so many points here, but I think let's talk on something that's really important because I feel that when people want to scale, when you get in, you start small and then you start wanting to scale. And when you get scale, like you said, you realize your overhead got bigger, but not necessarily profit.
Right.
Right?
That's exactly right. No, I'm glad you brought that up because when you take on more, what happens oftentimes is your profit margins will shrink. And I remember, I was very humbled in 2019. So at the end of 2019, I looked at my profit and loss statement, right? And while our top line revenue was significantly higher than when I first got into the business, which was in 2006. You would expect it to be, it should be. My profit margin, I actually made a little bit more money as a solo operator in 2006, a year into the business. I netted more money than I did in 2019 after having, over a decade of experience, having team members. And I just had the realization that this model is broken the way that I am building it. So how crazy is that? I made more money my first year in business as a net than I did, 13 years later or whatever it was.
Thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for admitting it to the audience, because I think that's huge. That's brave. Hey, thanks for tuning in today. I do have a favor to ask. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated with more amazing stories and insights from REBallers. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video. I've been asked a lot about passive investment, and I understand that there is nothing passive about being a landlord unless you can find a great property management company. So if you own an Airbnb, a vacation rental, or a short-term rental, and you are looking to free up your time, contact our team at Buzz Vacation Rentals at 281-549-8432, or check out our website at www.buzzvacationrentals.com. Thank you, and back to the Real Estate Baller Show.